The best gift. In the snow-covered town of Evergreen, December had arrived with quiet beauty. Every rooftop sparkled under a layer of soft white powder, and evergreen wreaths adorned doors on every street. The people of Evergreen knew how to celebrate the season, with kindness, warmth, and togetherness. Lights twinkled in the windows, bakeries filled the air with scents of gingerbread and cinnamon, and children built snowmen in the parks. Among the many homes was a small, crooked-roofed cottage that stood on the very edge of the village, next to a grove of pine trees. That was where Theo lived with his mother, Maria. Theo was 10 years old, a gentle and thoughtful boy who always had questions in his eyes and kindness in his hands. He wasn't the loudest child in his class, nor the most popular, but he was the one who remembered birthdays, who shared his lunch with classmates who forgot theirs, and who always said, "Thank you," to the bus driver. His mother, Maria, worked as a seamstress. She repaired coats, stitched dresses, and made beautiful scarves that the townspeople wore proudly. She had been raising Theo alone ever since his father passed away from illness when Theo was just a baby. Though they didn't have much, their cottage was filled with love, quiet, humble love that showed up in warm soup, bedtime stories, and long hugs on cold days. Now, as Christmas approached, Theo felt a stirring in his heart. He wanted to give his mother something special. Not a drawing, not just a hug, though those were lovely things. This year, he wanted to give her something real. Something that would show how much he saw everything she did for him. He had saved every coin he found and even hid away a couple of cookies instead of eating them, just in case he could trade them for something. But when he opened his small metal box on December 20th, all he had were 87 cents and a crumbled candy wrapper. It wouldn't be enough. He sat on the front steps of his cottage, his breath turning to mist in the air, watching children pass by carrying wrapped gifts and shopping bags with glittery ribbons. That's when Mrs. Bellamy, the old widow from across the street, came by on her usual walk. She wore the same purple wool hat every winter and carried a cane with a silver bell on top. "Why such a long face, Theo?" she asked, pausing. "I want to get my mom the best Christmas gift," Theo said, kicking at the snow. "But I don't know what that is, and even if I did, I don't have enough money to buy anything." Mrs. Bellamy smiled kindly. "My husband once told me something I never forgot. He said the best gifts are the ones money can't buy. You just have to find it in your heart." Theo looked up at her. "But what does that mean?" "You'll know," she said, with a twinkle in her eye. "Sometimes the best gift finds you." She walked on, leaving behind only the soft jingle of her cane bell. That night, Theo sat by the fire, deep in thought. He watched his mother sew patches onto old mittens, humming softly to herself. Her hands moved gracefully, but they looked tired. She looked up at him and smiled. "What are you thinking about, sweetheart?" Theo hesitated. "Just Christmas." Maria stood, walked over to him, and brushed a strand of hair from his forehead. "We don't need much to have a good Christmas," she said. "We have each other, and that's more than enough." She kissed his forehead and went to bed. But Theo stayed by the fire, staring into the glowing embers. He pulled out a notebook and a pencil. And slowly, he began to draw. He drew his favorite memories, his mother planting flowers in the spring, baking bread while music played from their old radio, helping him up when he scraped his knee, holding him when he had a nightmare. He drew the time she danced in the snow with him when they had no money for presents, and the day she stayed up all night sewing him a winter coat from leftover fabric. He drew 10 pictures, each one a window into their life. Each one a thank you that he never found the words to say. When he finished, he folded the drawings and slid them into an envelope. He looked around the room, searching for more. Something else to give her. He climbed into the attic. It was dusty, and cold winds slipped through the cracks in the wood. In the far corner was a wooden chest with metal latches. He opened it slowly. Inside were a few things that had belonged to his father. Photographs. A scarf. A small wooden music box shaped like a star. He picked up the box and turned the key at the bottom. It clicked once, twice, and then played a soft tune. It was cracked, a little slow, but it still worked. Theo closed his eyes and listened. He remembered that tune. His mother used to hum it when he was very small. He took the music box, the envelope of drawings, and a pine cone he had painted gold at school. He placed them all in a shoebox, then wrapped it in newspaper and tied it with a piece of red yarn. He placed it under the fireplace where their tree stood, small, with only paper stars and candles, but glowing with warmth. He wrote one word on the top of the box in big, neat letters. Mom. On Christmas morning, Maria found the package beside her worn slippers. What's this? She asked. It's for you, Theo said, shy but proud. I made it myself. She opened the box and slowly took out each item. First the golden pine cone. Then the music box. She turned the key and gasped softly as the old tune began to play. Tears welled in her eyes before she even opened the envelope. She sat down, unfolded each drawing one by one, and stared in silence. Each memory came back like a tide. Her eyes traveled from one page to the next, her lips trembling, her hands trembling even more. Theo bit his lip. Do you like it? Maria didn't speak. Instead, she reached for her son and pulled him close. She held him like she never wanted to let go. I love it, she whispered. Theo, this is the most beautiful gift anyone has ever given me. I just wanted to show you how much I love you, he murmured. You did, she said. You showed me everything. That day, their cottage was filled with visitors. The neighbors brought food and small gifts, homemade pies, woolen socks, candles, and books. Mrs. Bellamy stopped by with a smile. She peeked at the open envelope of drawings on the table. I see the gift found you after all, she said. Theo beamed. It did. When everyone had gone, Theo and his mother sat by the fire, sipping cocoa and watching the snow fall through the frosted window. The music box played again, soft, slow, and beautiful. That night, Theo fell asleep knowing he had done something important. He hadn't given a toy or a gadget. He had given his heart. Years later, when Theo had grown up and moved away to attend university, he came home one Christmas to visit his mother. The cottage looked just the same, still nestled near the woods, still filled with the smell of cinnamon and pine. Maria's hair had more gray in it, and her hands were more worn, but her smile hadn't changed at all. After dinner, Theo wandered into the living room. There, on the shelf above the fireplace, sat the shoebox, still carefully wrapped in newspaper, the red yarn now slightly faded. Inside it were the drawings, the pine cone, and the music box. He turned the key once more. The melody filled the room. Maria stood behind him, watching. I've kept it all these years, she said quietly, because it reminds me of the boy who gave me the best gift I've ever received. Theo turned to her, smiling. That boy still lives here, he said, touching his chest. She held him tightly. And once again, in that little cottage on the edge of Evergreen, the best kind of gift filled the room, not one that came from a store, or from a wallet, but from a heart. A gift that never faded. A gift made of love.